Good morning, students. I hope you have all enjoyed the Diwali in a safest methods and safest means. I hope everybody is well in good condition. Please stay home and stay safe under this COVID-19 pandemic era. As a part of the video lectures for the BCom first semester Business Organization subject, till date we have covered the first unit as well as some parts of the second unit, that is business organizations, forms of business organization. In the second unit, up to the last session, we have covered the sole tradership, partnership, joint stock company, cooperative societies, and one-person company to a maximum extent. In continuation to that of the one-person company, today we will go for a brief overview of the some extended concepts of the one-person company. In this session, we will go for the overall observation of three concepts, that is the comparison between the one-person company and the sole proprietorship, the comparison between the one-person company and the private limited company, as well as why there is more preference to private limited companies to that of the one-person companies. These are the three items today we will cover under this video session. First of all, we will go for the overall observation of the comparison between the one-person company and the sole proprietorship. As we have already gone through the nature and characteristics of the one-person company, it will be easy for us to compare both the one-person company OPC and the sole proprietorship. Now we go for comparison some point wise. The first one is, as far as the legal recognition is concerned, in the case of the one-person company, there is a need of registration. Henceforth, it will have a separate legal entity status. To that of the sole tradership or sole proprietorship, there is no registration. When once there is no registration, the question of legal recognition is not available. Henceforth, there is no separate legal entity. Here, the businessman and the firm are only one. There is no differentiation. But whereas in the case of one-person company, the company is registered as a one-person company. Henceforth, there is a differentiation between the owner of the company as well as the company itself. Right? That is what, there is a legal entity is there, legal recognition is there for the one-person company, but whereas in the case of sole tradership or sole proprietorship, there is no separate legal entity recognition. Next one is the liability is concerned. Well, once the liability is concerned, as the one-person company is registered under the Indian Companies Act 2013, it is having limited liability. Limited liability in the sense, in the case of any unforeseen risk arises, the liability is to the extent of the capital provided to the company only. But whereas, in the case of the sole proprietorship, the liability is unlimited. Well, we know better what is unlimited liability, which is both in the case of sole proprietorship or sole tradership as well as the partnership. In the case of any risk arises, the owner of the business not only foregoes the capital, and even to the extent of their personal belongings also there is a risk. That's why here is unlimited liability. Now coming to the question of the perpetual succession. As the one-person company is a registered company under the Indian Companies Act 2013, here even though there is a shift, there is a retirement, there is a death, or there is a some coming out of the business also, the firm stands still there because there is a nominee and the nominee will take care of it. But in the case of the sole proprietorship, when once the death or the retirement or removal of a person from your own business itself, automatically the establishment closes down. There is no question of perpetual succession. Now coming to the question of the registration. As I said, the one-person company must be registered under the Indian Companies Act. But whereas in the case of the sole tradership, there is no registration. Anybody can start the sole proprietor form of business organization. For that, there is no registration requirement also. Next one, the funding is concerned. How the credit availability to the one-person company is. The credit availability to the one-person company depends upon the reliability of the credit record of the one-person company. By having the reliability over the credit record, there is an opportunity to obtain credit from the market. But whereas in the case of the sole proprietorship, generally the credit record of the owner is very much low in comparison to that of the OPC. Henceforth, the availability of credit to a limited extent only. It is not that much of highly concerned or highly feasible. Next, coming to the question of repayment of loan. In the case of the repayment of the loan of the OPC is concerned, here there is no sole or individual responsibility of the one-person company, of the owner of the one-person company, because there is having a limited liability. Whereas in the case of the sole proprietorship or sole tradership, the liability is unlimited, henceforth there is a sole and individual responsibility on the part of the owner of the business to repay the loan. Otherwise, it will go into the court of law and maybe to the extent of the confiscation of the personal belongings and personal assets of the owner of the business also. So that is one another comparison. The last one is, in the case of the one-person company, the income tax is of 30% of the profits. Whereas in the case of the sole proprietorship, the income tax rate is minimum 5% and to the extent of 30% depending upon the income tax slab of the proprietor under which their firm falls. So it means here there is no compulsion here, minimum 5 to maximum 30%. Whereas in the case of others, in the one-person company, the slab is up to 30%. Now let us go for the second concept of today's session. That is one-person company in comparison to that of the private limited company. The basis, let us go by basis point wise. The first one is, as I already mentioned earlier, it is governed by a law. The one-person company is governed by a law. What is the law? Indian Companies Act 2013. But whereas in the case of private limited company also it is governed by under the Indian Companies Act 2013. As far as the number of members are concerned, as the name in the case of OPC shows, one-person company means minimum one person is essential to formulate the one-person company. Whereas in the case of a private limited company, minimum 2 members are required to promote a company. Next one, the directors are required. As there is one-person company, it is only one director is essential. But whereas in the case of the private limited company, minimum 2 directors are essential. Right? Next one, the annual filings of the returns of books of accounts are concerned. Both the one-person company as well as the joint stock company or private limited company should go for the filing of their financial statements at the end of the business year to the Registrar of Companies under the Indian Companies Act. Now, the statutory audit is concerned. In both the cases, both OBC as well as in the private limited company as joint stock company. In both the cases, there is a compulsion to go for a statutory audit. Next one, the stability of business is concerned. Whereas the capital requirement in the case of the one-person company is minimum what is less than 50 lakhs and where the turnover is less than 2 crores, you can assume that the capital requirement is very much less, and henceforth the stability of business is very much limited. Whereas in the case of the private limited company, there are n number of opportunities to obtain the what is that, credit maybe, or overdrafts or loans, or some what is that, capital from other sources like from the business establishments, from the trade and manufacturing and large size establishments. So for that, the suitability is there much in the case of the private limited company to that of the one-person company. And the liability is concerned, both one-person company and the private limited company, both are having limited liability. Means in the case of risk, the risk is up to the extent of the capital procured by the OPC as well as the private limited company. As I mentioned, the taxability is concerned, the OPC is not recognized under the Income Tax Act. Even then, it will go for to the extent of 30% of the total profits of the one-person company. Whereas in the case of the private limited company, there is a tax bracket, and under the tax bracket, it will go up to the tax bracket of 30% of total income, which excludes the cess and the surcharges. However, the small companies are covered under the tax bracket of 25% of the total income. The next one is investment. As far as the capital investment is concerned, the name itself shows in the case of OPC that it's a one-person company. Only one member is there to put the investment. Whereas in the case of the private limited company, it is possible to acquire the funds in many other ways and means, like private placements, rights issues, venture capital, etc. And the other compliances are concerned, the one-person company employs many exemptions compared to a private limited company. As there is only one member, there is no requirement of some statutory obligations like annual general meeting, board of directors meeting, etc. Because person and the company are only one-person company. Henceforth, the directors as well as the board consists of only one member. Henceforth, there is no statutory requirement on the part of the one-person company to conduct the meetings. But whereas in the case of the private limited company, it is essential to conduct AGM, annual general meeting, as well as the other board of members meetings, and so other legally required meetings from time to time, maybe in annual or some situation basis. Henceforth, if we compare both the one-person company and the private limited company, there are more flexibilities both the sides. The one-person company is having some flexibilities, as well as the private limited company is also having more flexibilities, as the case may be. Now coming to the question of our third point. Today's session, the third point and the last point. What is that? Why the people prefer more in the case of private limited company rather than that of the one-person company. In the case of the private limited company, there is an easiness or a flexibility on the part of the management of the company to acquire the fundraising in many ways and means. But whereas in the case of one-person company, there is no such flexibility is concerned. Next one is the improving of the business credibility. In the private limited company, there is a more scope for providing credibility or achieving credibility as far as the business image is concerned, business growth is concerned, business expansion is concerned, because everything is advocated. Here is that there is more flexibility. But whereas in the case of one-person company, just like the sole proprietorship, there is no that much of easierness to go for a flexible way of expanding and growing the business. Next one is there are multiple opportunities to expand the business. In the case of private limited company, they will go for even international business also, huge production also, multiple franchises also, and establishing companies beyond the borders of one company, one country also. But whereas in the case of the one-person company, it is not possible. Next one is the complication. There is no that much of complexity as far as the incorporation of one-person company is there. But whereas some complexity is there on the part of the private limited company. If we observe, more complexity, more correctness and accuracy, and more safeguardedness on the part of the funds being obtained for running the business. Next one is, there is no need of nominee in the case of the one-person company, because the company itself is run by a person. Henceforth, there is no need, as there is no need of requirement of a nominee for the one-person company. But whereas in the case of the private limited company, there is a perpetual succession which is already registered with it. Henceforth, men may come and men may go. There is a change of ownership, but even then, there is a continuity business is concerned. So with these few words, today we will go for the end of this today's session. What we have covered in this session? First, the comparison between sole tradership as well as the one-person company. Second, the comparison between the one-person company and the private limited company or a joint company. And finally, we have covered today why there is a more preference in the case of private limited company rather than that of the one-person company. If you have any queries or for more explanation, you just refer your textbook for more comparisons if you need. Thank you very much.